there's so much to talk about in your film work, but I remember when you came on my late night program for Selma for your brilliant portrayal of Martin Luther King Jr. And I remember we were talking about it and then realizing later on that you had been kind of method when you did that role, meaning that you really wanted to inhabit, which you did so brilliantly. And I think there's no more difficult task if we're talking about you playing these Shakespearean figures. If you're playing someone from distant history, you can interpret, but when you're playing someone who lived, concurrently with our times, died in 1968, and there's all this footage, you need to create your interpretation, but it also needs to ring true to all of us. And I thought you did that beautifully.
Thank
you.
And
it was, you really felt like you had to inhabit him all the time and be in character. How long did you do that for?
It was 3 months of the shoot, and as you can tell, I have an English accent. We were shooting in Atlanta, and the worst thing about being an actor, especially playing that kind of role, is imposter syndrome. You go, well, I am not him, obviously,
right.
But you have all these people daily who you feel the need to convince you are him. But the worst thing you can do, I think, as an actor is to be playing that room in a sense, as opposed to the film, which is what people are ultimately going to see. So if I'm having to convince the crew, the extras, my fellow actors, moment to moment, that's too many things. It's already, the margins for error are already what they are. So the way to take that out of the equation, I think, is for people to, by and large, just go, oh, that's not Dr. King, but that's David's version of Dr. King moving around the set. So it's not and roll, camera, action, and it's like a switch. It's too much to kind of be constantly doing.
No, for you to be at the craft service table joking around with the crew,
right?
And then, put down that pretzel and it's time to.
Right.
We're going to be Dr. Martin Luther King now.
Yeah,
it seems like that would be impossible.
It's also, I had so many speeches, whether it be in a church, at a rally, or whatever, and there were people there because of the locations we were shooting who had been at marches with Dr. King, who had been in churches with Dr. King. I mean, John Lewis visited the set one day and decided to stay for one of my speeches. I was like, dude,
please don't.
That really doesn't help me at all. You're lovely and I love you. Please leave.
So anytime you do any gesture, I can just picture John Lewis. Nope. Wrong.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. He was lactose intolerant. Didn't like almonds either. Put the almonds down.
Gosh.
It's too much.
It's literally too much. And so the way I oxidize that is to just kind of be in what I would call King light, where it's always there so that the extras aren't suddenly going, oh, look at that trick he's doing. You're trying to not act is the reality. And the best way to do that is to just be. And so if I'm being all the time, then hopefully that's what the camera's catching.
People don't realize that this is, for people in your life, friends, I would think, especially family.
Yeah.
If you're trying to maintain a certain persona or inhabit a character for 3 months, okay, that's one thing on the set, but what happens when you go home?
Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, particularly for my wife. At the time we were doing Selma, we had also just moved into a new home, and I remember her calling me to discuss curtain colors, and I literally went, "Well, I think the gray," and she went, "Okay, stop. I am not discussing curtains with Dr. King. I draw the line there. We will pick this up after the film. Thank you very much." The other awful thing is
I have a dream of Venetian blinds.
I know. She's like, stop. Time out.
Did you ever ask her to call back as his wife?
I should have done that. I should have done that. No, but what also happened was I put on about 40 pounds to play Dr. King. And, he had, or I should say I had as him, what, can only be described as man boobs. And my wife was incredibly tolerant of this. I had, I wasn't in the shape I normally pride myself on being in. And the day that this thing wrapped, she came up to me, jiggled my man boobs, and said, "So what are we doing? What are we doing?" I was like, "Oh my Lord. Like, give me a second." I mean,
what are we doing here?
What are we doing? What are we doing with this?
Speed bag.
Literally.
Come on.
Oh, come on.
Feedback.
Yeah, but they would have been very good speed bags. But yeah, I was like, okay, I guess my grace period is over.
I will say this though for you, David. At least you had that excuse, because I step out of the shower and I can't say, no, I'm playing Orson Welles at the end of his life.
Right. Right.
Or my skin has been artificially freckled in a most horrifying way because I'm playing a striped bass in a movie. There's no way for me to go. It's like, I'm going to play Conan in the Conan story. There's no...
You're just stuck.
I'm stuck. There is nowhere else to go.